who can still rule the world is something that we need to believe in projecting out.
They can get in the way of people just being themselves.
We are seeing a lot of development in that field.
Men should be strong and men should be fearless. The stereotypes and the labels we give to each gender.
We open the door to a kinder, a more inclusive world.
Gender stereotypes can feel like these invisible rules we're all expected to follow, like men are supposed to act one way, women another. Honestly, they can get in the way of people just being themselves. If you take something like ballet, it's very rare that you'll find a little boy who says, "Oh, I want to grow up and become a ballet dancer." So when we move past these stereotypes, it really opens up a space for us to explore what we actually like and what we actually want to do without feeling toxic. And in the end, it's just about letting people feel free to be who they are.
There is a common misconception that gender stereotypes only affect women. As much as we say women should be soft or women should be obedient or women shouldn't be loud, we also say things like men should be strong and men should be fearless and men shouldn't cry. And these things, these social norms and these stereotypes that we put on somebody based on their gender doesn't just affect that person's opportunities, but it also affects society as a whole and holds us back from developing as a country.
I personally don't think that gender stereotypes will be eliminated completely. There's always going to be the element where men will stereotype women and women will stereotype men, and there'll be these blind gender stereotypes. But we've seen a lot of improvement over the recent times. A lot of women are taking on generally accepted roles that men would perform, and men have started taking on roles that generally women would perform traditionally, that is. We see a lot of healthy situations where we have stay-at-home dads and males getting involved in housework and cooking and cleaning and even childcare for that matter. I personally spent 1 year of my life being a stay-at-home dad, and it was very refreshing, and we see a lot of that, whereas we also see women taking on the larger roles, generally accepted, generally understood that men would perform those roles, like for example leading companies or even working in the police force. I've seen women firefighters and even women driving. It's we're seeing a lot of development in that field, so we're seeing a lot of gender stereotypes being reduced, but I personally don't think that it'll be completely eliminated, and that's also a very healthy thing.
Unfortunately, this topic has become overly complex in today's society, when in reality it shouldn't be. In a world that sometimes feels tangled in labels and expectations, recognizing our shared humanity and respecting each person's authenticity is key. When we acknowledge that chromosomes and societal labels don't define the true depth of who we are, we open the door to a kinder, a more inclusive world. Empowerment and education can be extremely powerful tools to dissolve stereotypes and foster acceptance, helping us to create communities grounded in unconditional love and respect. I am Natasha Vatnaika.
Gender stereotypes are often talked about when we talk about issues surrounding women and feminist issues, and it truly becomes a real problem because a lot of our worldview, the way we perceive our relationships, the way we perceive our work can often be impacted by the stereotypes and the labels we give to each gender. And we see this in our day-to-day lives, and I see this in my work specifically, working with and trying to understand the experiences of women in the North in a post-war context. Misconceptions that they defy every day, but we don't really get to see or understand because we don't have as much access to it. And I think talking more about the ways in which men and women are defying the stereotypes and the labels that have been put on them will really bring light to this issue.
And you often see that if you pay enough attention, if you really seek to understand that every misconception, every label about a gender, you find many people defying it, acting outside of it, showing that these labels, the specific labels and these stereotypes don't really fit. There may be some truth to it, but it's not the complete story. Whether it's men are more leadership driven, women are more emotional decision makers, or that women's rights are secondary. If you really pay attention and if you really care about it, you'll see that none of these are true in any context that you work in any of the things that you do, that a lot of the misconception and a lot of the stereotypes cease to exist to be true when you actually see how people are defying it and acting outside of it.
Stereotyping of any sort sucks. All it does is label people and put them into homogeneous behavior groups. Each of us is individual with diverse likes, behaviors, wants, and needs. And really, if any of us allowed stereotyping to repress, oppress, or suppress who we are just because of our gender, that would be a very sad and boring world. So let's ditch the stereotypes.
As we close the year 2024, I'm happy that my social media space could be used for a conversation that's worthy. Gender stereotyping. As a man who I'm very proud to say I was made by women, I was shown what strength and also the willingness to never give up is shown by a woman who thrives and fights to bring her kids up. I give all credit to my mother, and she made me realize that gender is just one thing, but the willpower to survive, she played the role of a man, a woman, a mother, a father, a savior, a guardian, all of that in her one figure. Sometimes it's very critical that we understand, just because the society, the world makes us believe that certain colors, certain areas, certain slogans define a man and a woman, it should not limit a man and a woman. Understanding a person's capability and capacity and telling them they can do more is what we need to be thriving. Asking a woman, oh, you should be at home because you're a woman, is not what we need to say. No, you can be a mother, you can still be a CEO, you can still rule the world, is something that we need to believe in projecting out. Today I'm privileged to speak to some amazing people who believe in the same cause, in not stereotyping gender. This is what they had to say. Thank you to Internews for creating this platform for us to speak about how amazing it is to respect, love, and give the right space for everyone to thrive, shine, and achieve. Let's be mindful and let's support each other. This is a world for everyone.